Greetings, everybody. Happy Sunday. My name is Thandazani, Zulu. We're here again on our Soulful Talks. And happy Sunday. We're saying uvukile. And I hope you guys have been enjoying your weekend, your Easter weekend. Abanye, they went home. And I hope you guys are still keeping safe, having your mask, sanitizing, and all the precautions that you have to follow. And this Sunday, I have someone super exciting. She is a psychologist by profession, Nondumiso Mphambo, and we're still continuing with our topic on self-development. Last week we touched on career. We had Mr. Mohale as our guest, and we received such positive feedback. Someone is very excited that you keep on bringing super exciting people, and they keep on learning from us and the show. And they quoted him, Muguti, I learned a lot, especially about application, that we don't only read books for the sake of doing it, but to also put into practice. That is someone's comment from last week's episode. So today we have Nondumiso Mphambo. She's going to tell us more on mental health and self-development when it comes to spiritual development as well. So our talk shows are available on Instagram, on Facebook. We are Empowerment Podcast, and you can just send us any feedback or any messages or testimony that you'd like to share with us on 065-615-6641. It's 065-615-6641. Thank you so much, Nondumiso, for accepting our invite. Sawubona.
Sawubona, Sisi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you? And thank you for inviting me to the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for honoring the invite. Can you just tell us more about yourself? You can just greet our listeners. Tell us more about yourself, your background and your upbringing, like where you come from and.
Okay. Igama lami is Nondumiso Mphambo. I was born in Carltonville, in Gauteng. And I'm from a family of 6. So I've got 3 siblings. I'm the second born of those 4 kids. I have, and I studied, so obviously I studied my lower grades in Carltonville, and then my tertiary was in Free State as well as UKZN. I qualified in 2012 as a clinical psychologist. And I have been so I've worked at correctional services as a psychometrist for some years. And then I started working there in 2012 as a psychologist, as a qualified clinical psychologist. I've also been, I've also worked in private practice part-time from 2012. But and then from 2014 to 2019 as well, I moved to UKZN as a lecturer, still continuing my private practice. And then in 2019 November, after 5 years, I resigned to be now in private, solely full-time private practice.
Wow.
I've worked during this time in different hospitals around Pietermaritzburg, in clinical psychiatric hospitals. Where I've seen a lot of different people, from teenagers to adults, presenting with various psychiatric conditions. So I think that's about it.
Yo, thank you so much. I'm actually super inspired by your story, and that's one of the reasons we actually invited you to our show. And I know our listeners are going to gain so much insight when it comes to mental health, as you are mentioning that you work with different people almost every day, from teenagers to abantu abakhulile. And thank you so much for mentioning that. When it comes to mental health, I know it's a topic that is not really being addressed kahle, and we are actually facing different challenges when it comes to mental health. I know, Guti, I was doing my research. Guti, what is it exactly when we're talking about mental health? And it said that it include our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it affects the way we think, we feel, and act as we are coping with life. So I would like Slambe, if you can tell us more about your own understanding, as you've also worked in this sector for quite some time, on the reality of mental health. Maybe you can just share your experiences. Uti, and your observations and your realizations as you are growing in this industry, working with different people, Uguti, what is it actually it is all about? And how can we grow and take care of it?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Thandazani. When we're talking about mental health, we're referring to how a person thinks, how a person behaves, and how the person feels about themselves. So it is all about how people process issues that are happening in their lives. And so it presents itself in different ways in different people. Yeah. And I think if we look at our country, Gakulu, I mean, in the recent years, is that we're seeing a lot of people now that are being diagnosed with mental illness. And I think one of the reasons for that is that now there's been quite a lot of awareness over the past years around mental health. Because previously mental health has always been ignored, has been something that it's seen as ukuthi abantu abathize or iphatha abantu abathize, kind of thing. And kakhulu, especially when we look around Christians, it's always been ukuthi abantu abangakholwa, I remember ukuthi, when I was doing my master's in 2008, my topic was the perception of religious beliefs in coping with depression amongst Christians. So my sample was amongst Christians, because I wanted to understand, Tina, as Christians, how are we affected by mental health? How do we see mental health? How do we perceive mental health? And lo and behold, my results that I find was there's a lot of people that have been diagnosed with mental health, even amongst the Christian population. But it's something that Abantu are not talking about. Yeah. Because there's a stigma around it. By depression, for instance, or you've got anxiety. It's something that's not even entertained, in the Christian community, because you are seen as, or you are perceived as ukuthi wenzeni kuNkulunkulu, that you're going through depression, because how do you say ukuthi now you are depressed, kind of thing. So what I found in my research was a lot of people that I interviewed that have been diagnosed with depression is that when they were diagnosed with depression, it was very difficult for them to come out and say, I have been diagnosed with depression, or I am going through depression, because a lot of Christians would view you as you're not meditating on the word enough, or Noma, there are sins that you haven't repented from. So we're seeing it in the recent years that people are coming out to say, hey, I have been diagnosed with depression. Because in mental health, not for specific people. And I always say, as long as you are an individual that is living amongst people, you are bound to interpret experiences in a different way. You are bound to be affected by others, and you are bound to have specific experiences right. And if those offenses are not dealt with right, they are likely to affect you in terms of your emotions. They are likely to affect you in different ways. So basically, in mental health, it's about, as Mbishilo, it's about how a person thinks, it's about how a person feels, and it's about how a person behaves. Zonke lezo zinto sizithola ngokuzwa, sizithola ngokubona, all are different senses, because lezo zinto, how you interpret into eyenzeka kuwena affects you emotionally, and that's what mental health is about. It's how you experience your world, how you interpret those experiences, and how they affect you. So if you don't deal nalezo zinto, zigcina seziku-affect wena physically. So what people need to understand, as a human being, you've got these three cycles that are very interrelated. So you've got the physical well-being, you've got your behavioral part, and you've got your emotional, psychological part. So how you behave is affected by how you feel. How you feel is affected by how you think, what you hear. So a lot of people, see, now we focus, and then there's a spiritual part. So we focus on the physical part of our being.
Right.
So when you've got a headache, you've got a headache. You can identify it. You can locate where the pain is. But a psychological pain is so subtle. And it's difficult at times to acknowledge it and to identify where it is. Therefore, a lot of people that are affecting them because, one, they don't know whether or not they're affected, number one.
Yeah.
Two, umuntu doesn't know ukuthi uzokhuluma nabani. Nokuthi mayekhuluma uzoyiqala ke le ndaba. You know? And most of the things, unfortunately, around mental health, the root of it is usually around how a person grew up. And we know ukuthi our families, kakhulukazi mawenzeka izinto in families, kuthiwa, especially around as black people, kuthiwa what happens in this house remains in this house. Sure. So noma kwenzakaleni ekukhuleni kwakho, you are not able to talk, you're not able to share with anybody. Or if you have the courage to share it with somebody, lo muntu uzokutshela ukuthi ifanayo. You cannot say, I was to air a dirty laundry in the public. So, and find a way of coping with it. So, with all of these things, because they're not allowed, they're not given any platform to share, nor are they given any platform to deal with it, to express it and to address that issue. So ukhula nayo situation iyaqhubeka emndenini, whether it's abuse, whether ubaba ushaya mama noma wena zingane uya-abuse efamilini, you are told ukuthi deal with it, find a way to deal with it, because addresswa in this family. So we're breeding families, we're breeding ingane, we're breeding individuals and adults abathwele kakhulu. And so umuntu mayemdala manje, you get either in your adolescent stage or in your adult stage, yila manje lezinto kade zenzeke kuwena growing up,
sure.
And most of the time now awazi ukuthi ene ziqhamuka kephi. All of a sudden people are saying you are moody. All of a sudden people bathi wena nje uneconsi. All of a sudden people, now you've got this anger, ongazi ukuthi iqhamuka kephi. Now you've got this hatred towards men, ongazi ukuthi iqhamuka kephi. And all of these things zenzeke usakhula, and they were not addressed so ziqhamuka usukhulileke manje usumdala. So my observation kakhulu with the people that I've been working with and around mental health is ukuthi society yethu, and that's one thing that we need to understand, that the family values ezazikhona eqaleni have been affected quite a lot. A lot of families, our families are raised by single mothers. Our families are child-headed households. So you can see there and there, ukuthi uNkulunkulu, the way yena wayeyibuka ngayo ifamily, the way that he constructed the family, ayisekho ngalendlela uNkulunkulu wayehlele ngayo. uNkulunkulu wadala uAdam, uNkulunkulu wadala uEva, and there's a position that ubaba as a made individual in the family that they serve. Right. There's a function that umama serve in the family. Ubaba protects, ubaba provides, ubaba gives ingane that sense of self-esteem yokuthi you are my princess. Uyakubonisa ukuthi as a girl growing up, this is how you're supposed to be treated by a man. This is how what you're supposed to expect from a male. But our families a lot abanawo baba. So ingane grows up not knowing how they're supposed to be treated by males. They grow up not knowing what is it that they deserve, what kind of love they're supposed to embrace, what kind of life they're supposed to entertain. So as a result, ingane grows up from a single parent family. Umama uthwele is playing two different roles at the same time. Mama that's supposed to nurture this child. Mama that's supposed to love this child. Mama that's supposed to guide this child and give warmth. But at the same time, she's supposed to provide. She's supposed to instill discipline. She's supposed to do all these other things that Ubaba was supposed to do. Somewhere along the line, there will be cracks. Sure. And it's not because Mama is not a good enough mother. But because there's a role, there's a function that is missing in this family unit. So you can imagine ukuthi le ngane grows up already, there is something missing in this family. So umama ngeke akwazi to fulfill all of these roles because la ukhathele but uyasebenza, comes back from emsebenzini, uphethwe stress asemsebenzini, uphethwe preoccupations of a survivor, kuzodliwana ekhaya, ingane zizogqokani, how am I going to pay for my school fees? She might not be able to be available emotionally for leyo ngane because she is exhausted.
Sure.
So she's fulfilling two different roles at the same time. So there are bound to be cracks in between lapho in the family. So ingane will grow up looking for that father figure ngaphandle. And because akayazi, whatever that she gets in terms of her teenage years as an adult, the kind of relationships that she's going to choose are the ones already as in a crack because agayazi, the template of how a male and a female relationship is supposed to be. And therefore, whoever shows her love, whoever provides for her, she then interprets that as genuine love.
Sure.
And already the love is crack. So if this person shows her love, if this person provides for her, she will cling onto this person as if this is my soulmate, if it's her peer. But if it's an older person, she will find she was already looking for a father figure.
Yeah.
Not only a partner, but this person must fulfill a father figure.
Because they've never experienced it.
So that exactly, she's never experienced it. So we are seeing the community manje, the different tribes as Ziganzalo. These are the kinds of challenges that we're facing as a community, especially in South Africa.
Yeah.
Omunye uyakhula at the family, ubaba ukhona, umama ukhona, but ubaba is not emotionally available.
Okay.
Nayo nama issues wakhe ukhule naye ubaba engekho.
Sure.
So he doesn't know how a father figure is supposed to play this role of a father and his kids. Into yazi ukuthi ubaba brings the bacon in the house or brings the bread in the house. Ukuthi ingane ifudumele, ukuthi ingane is being loved, ukuthi ingane is being nurtured. Akakwazi lokho. Yena he knows ukuthi mangithumela imali ekhaya, that's enough.
That's it.
Because naye akayazi ubaba wakhe wamshiya wayesebenza ey'mayini noma ubaba ukhule ngekho nje kukhulisa umama. Noma ukhule from an environment la ubaba was abusive towards the mother. Wakhule ibona lento and thought this is the kind of love I'm supposed to bring to my partner. Naye mayekhula, that's exactly what he brings to the partner. That's exactly the family set up abanayo. Because that's the kind of love that he has learned. So what I've observed kakhulu in the families, in the kids that I'm seeing in terms of teenagers, in the adults that I'm seeing, sebebadala, is the kind of women that we refer to as women who love too much. These are the kind of women abangegaze ba experience the love from their families. These are the kind of women that have not known a father figure. So they are drawn towards men that are going to disappoint them. They are drawn towards broken men. They become the fixer. They become the rescuer. So the more umuntu broken, the more she feels ukuthi now I've got a value in this relationship. They become attracted to these men that are likely to hurt them. And we're seeing that quite this akulu manje in terms of the patients that we're seeing, where a person stays in a relationship that is very abusive to them. They stay in a loveless relationship. They stay in a relationship that provides for them, but there's no empowerment. There is no love. There's no validation in that relationship. And the more the guy abuses her, the more the guy is not available to her, the more they feel loved. The more they feel valued in that relationship because they know, I know for a fact, like my father that left me. Because in this relationship, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm fixing his life. I'm making sure he has a career. I am providing in the family. So there's no way he can leave me. So we're raising kids that have abandonment issues. So they're attracted to people that already they get into relationships, they fear. So mafanele ngibe ku-relationship engazi ukuthi lo muntu ufanele ngimfixe. If lo muntu akekho broken, ngiyazi ukuthi angangishiya noma inini. So when they long for that person who's going to love them unconditionally, that person who's going to see the best in them, that person who's going to support them. But when they find that person, they leave them immediately because they have anxiety ukuthi is too good to be true. Akafuni lutho kumina kusho ukuthi ngiyovuka ngelinye ilanga engishiyile because there is nothing that I have done to work for this kind of love.
Yo, that's
So they stay in relationships where they are abused, where there is no love, where there's alcohol involved, because they feel if I can fix him psychologically, I am fixing my father who was not available. Psychologically, I'm fixing that father of mine who was abusive. So if I can do this, I will feel needed. I will feel valued. And therefore, lo muntu ngeke angishiye because I've got a history and evidence la yokuthi I have worked for this kind of love.
Oh my goodness.
So these are the kind of people that we see. You know.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think this is a big thing, and it's a circle that keeps on repeating itself as you're explaining Guti, like from the child and umuntu akhule, and they develop these things. They also need to start their own families. They've also never experienced this and that. So it's very, very challenging. But I would also like to know, Guti, do you have any ideas or any knowledge since you've been working in this sector? Guti, how do we keep up? How do we make sure that we can work situations like this? What kind of help can we ask? What kind of assistance we can receive when it comes to dealing with issues like this?
Okay. I think the first thing I usually tell people when I conduct workshops or normally invite you know, every one of us, most of us have their own family doctor.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. You go to that person because une history yako, you don't have to start afresh every time you get sick. So in the same manner, every person, I think they need to have their own psychologist. It's not luxury. It's not ukuthi uyayicela, or it's not ukuthi ene usiyasanye kan.
Yeah.
You know, because you need to understand ukuthi as a human being, you've got your soul, you've got your spiritual part, and you've got your social part.
Yeah.
So, as well as your physical part. So your physical well-being is being taken care of by your doctor.
Okay.
Your spiritual part is being taken care of by your pastor.
Yes.
But who is taking care of your psychological well-being? Most of us neglect that part, and it's very important.
Right.
So it's important ukuthi, and don't wait ukuthi uze ufike to that point where you can't eat, you can't sleep, and nothing makes sense. You have suicidal thoughts. Kubalulekile nje to have a psychologist and go and offload, because on a daily basis there are things that are being deposited into your spirit. There are things that are being deposited into your soul that are hurtful, that are very offensive. But then if you don't that regularly you offload, then those things are likely to grow. Those things are likely to be toxic, because awunayo in an outlet la uzophungulela khona.
Yeah.
And it's important ukuthi that's number one. And secondly, abanye abantu, they always think ukuthi for you to go and see a psychologist fanele ube ne-referral. No, you don't need a referral.
Okay.
You can just find out and Google for yourself who is the psychologist in the area and make an appointment with them. Depending on who, on the sometimes they ask you to start your doctor from your doctor, because it depends on the optional medical aid. Then the doctor will refer you to a psychologist. And even if you don't have a medical aid, there are psychologists in government. So musukuhlala kunento ekudlayo. If ekhaya kuthiwa asikhulumi ngalento, asitsheli muntu in the family, okay, that's fine. But go tell somebody there that you know this person is going to help you to process lento. You know? So speak to someone. Musukuhlala and ufe uwedwa. Even if you psychologists, there are social workers in the area.
Yeah.
Try and talk to somebody. Make it a routine. As much as you keep yourself physically fit, it is very important to keep yourself mentally fit.
Right.
Have a space la uzo offload corner is very, very important.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Maybe are there any exercises or tips that we can maybe like share when it comes to maintaining our mental health or psychological health? Maybe like if you are anxious, if you are stressed, or if you are going through some difficult times, basically, when it comes to your psychological or mental health. Are there any exercises or tips that you can give us? I know that you've already shared a few, but maybe like a few just to cover up something on that.
Okay. I think it's important as a person, in terms of exercises, Thandazani, it's important that a person ibanayo your mid time. You know,
right.
I can't stress it enough. You know, mid time is and it's in its holistic sense is physical exercise. So you devote you need to keep yourself physically healthy.
Yeah.
It increases your blood circulation. It helps you to breathe better. It allows you to flush out toxins from your system. Number one. Number two is meditation. Meditation and take a piece of paper or your journal. Plan your day. Be quiet with no distractions. Plan your day. What is it that you're going to do in that day? That alone reduces your anxiety level for that day significantly. Because when you know how your day looks like, then it allows you to feel like you are in control. So already, before you have reduced an amount of stressors as unnecessary in your life. Because how your day is going to be, on top of each other, it's so as if it creates that anxiety. Oh my gosh, there's chaos. I don't know where to start. And already, you can't cope. Niggas are 5 to 10 minutes. In a day, before start your day, plan your day, and that is very important. Breathe in, have a breathing exercise. You can breathe slowly, count from 30 downwards. Breathing in and breathing out slowly. It helps you to learn to relax. And it is very important. People may take it for granted, but it's very important in terms of helping your energy to be able to be in sync. And thirdly, even I struggle to sleep. I do understand, when a person who reaches that level of being depressed, it's one of the symptoms of depression, you struggle with sleeping. But I speak to that very depressive episode, the stage. And the part of your routine, before ulala, and especially as a Christian, is feed your spirit, because what you focus with the longest will become the strongest in your life.
Sure.
And I need to repeat this. What you focus on the longest will become the strongest in your life. So if you feed your spirit, if you feed your soul with things that are going to create anxiety, looking at the news that are creating as when Zuguti ube worried about your future, as when Zuguti ube worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. That is feeding the anxiety as well.
Yeah.
So focus on things now. Feed on the things that are going to make you feel positive about the future. Feed on things that are going to make your mind zikwazi to see beyond the situation of yona. There are so many self-help books. Determine ukuthi yini lofuna ukuyenza empilweni. Follow people that are already doing leyo yinto and feed your mind with those things the longest. It's very, very, very important. It's very, very important. And lastly, the Bible has so many scriptures as to alleviate and that are good for our mental health.
I was actually going there.
There's so many scriptures like Joshua 1, verse 7 to 8. you can lithi Bible ukuthi lapho and to 9 lithi Bible ukuthi this book of the law must not depart from your mind. Meditate on it day in and day out, so that you will make your way prosperous. And then and it says, be of good courage. That is strength ukuthi uNkulunkulu nawe. You know, now whatever it is that you're facing, whether it's about your career, whether it's about izinto that are not going well empilweni yakho, meditate kulama scriptures that are going to give you that focus ukuthi uNkulunkulu is with you. You know, there's so many scriptures in the Bible. Luke 12 verse 22 to 26, Psalm 34 verse 4, 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. You know, all these scriptures are very helpful in terms of helping you and giving you hope. You know, Jeremiah and a bright future.
Yes.
So don't be anxious about anything, but prayer and supplication. Bring your requests to Nkulunkulu, and the peace that surpasses all understanding shall guide your mind and your heart in union with Christ Jesus. So as a child of God, even you might not know, okay, where do I find these scriptures? Google is very useful.
Yeah, it's so
you just be a balance and a Bible verses about fear or Bible verses about anxiety. It will show all the scriptures that are relevant to anxiety, that are relevant to worry, and meditate on those scriptures to alleviate the fear onayo.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that I would encourage. Don't be alone, and especially as children of Nkulunkulu, there are always people there that will try and be supportive of something. You know, find somebody to share izinto with. Find somebody to help you to pray.
Yeah.
Pray about it. Show me ke noma umama omdala engazi ukuthi ngizokhuluma naye, engazi ukuthi uzomkhulekisa.
Yeah.
There's always that one person uNkulunkulu azakubeka esontweni for you that are relevant to what you're going through. Pray about it, uNkulunkulu will show you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sister Nondumiso. So you've covered almost everything that I was looking forward to hear, and I hope our listeners learned quite a lot from you today, and may just God keep on blessing you. But I would also like you to share details, Uguti, where can abantu or different listeners find you, your business, if they're looking for psychological help and they're looking for a psychologist, where can they find you? Can you just share your details, or what's being a
Okay, I'm based in Scottsville for those that are in Pietermaritzburg. I'm based in Scottsville, and umuntu also can find me on Med Pages. My details about my practice are on Med Pages. When you Google clinical psychology on Med Pages, you'll find my practice details are on Lapo. But I can just say them. It's Nondumiso Mphambo. You'll find all my details and my contact details. So, the contact details on my Thandazani, or do you allow me? Do you want me to give them? Or
yeah, you can share the contact details.
Okay. So our contact details, our landline is 033 348 2291. 033 348 2291. Or you can call us as well, or WhatsApp us on this number. It's 076 04 23 196. 076 23 196. And my email address is nondumpam@gmail.com.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Any closing remarks? Your last words before we let you go?
Okay. I think what I would like to say, Thandazani, to everyone, to every listener, is mental health and mental awareness is real. Mental health and mental illness is real. It can happen to anyone. I get umuntu that will say they are immune to mental illness. As long as you were born, unabazali, there are challenges la ukule khona. And even if you are going through a depressive episode, it doesn't mean ukuthi usuyisoni kuNkulunkulu. It doesn't mean ukuthi you have backslided from the word. Isho ukuthi you are ihlane lakho ngaleso sikhathi. Please make sure that you find help, there is nothing wrong with going through depression. Everyone can go through depression. No one is immune to depression. There are a lot of people, even if something, you'll be surprised at how many people that have recovered from depression. So musuk saba mtaka ma, ask help, seek help, make sure that you get help so that you will survive. That is what I can say.
Sure. Thank you so much. May God keep on blessing you. May your business keep on growing, and may you keep on offering all this positive help and assistance. This conversation was very, very inspiring, and I think it's going to help quite a lot of people. I'm one of the people who are assisted so much by this conversation. You can get Nondumiso Mphambo on 033 348 2291. You can just visit them at their practice. They can assist you with different things when it comes to psychological and mental health. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next week. Happy Sunday.